Hello. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Elias Mungsha, and I'm coming live to you from Calgary. This is about 13:06 here in Calgary, 1:06 p.m. And I believe that in Chuempala, it's about 21 hours. So I'm going to give you some time for you to share this live broadcast to as many people as possible, and then we are going to get started. We're going to do that. Now, today's topic is on Zambian marriage law. Okay, Zambian marriage law. The reason why we must do this broadcast is because of a few things that happened recently in Zambia. And so we just need to clarify a few things. Very, very important. Usually we do a lot of politics here, but today I'm going to refrain from politics as much as possible. And I need to just put a disclaimer here, okay? Thank you for sharing. Please share with as many people as possible. I just need to put a disclaimer. And the reason why I'm putting a disclaimer is because family issues are very complex, okay? And so it is not enough for you to just get an opinion from me. And so what I would suggest is, if you are facing any family law issue in Zambia, domestic or matrimonial question, I would recommend that you seek out Zambian legal practitioners. Go and talk to a lawyer. Lawyers might be expensive, but it's going to save you a ton of problems, okay? So that is very important. I need to put this across to you so that you try to find help. Because you see, when we are talking about these things here, they are so impersonal. We are just dealing with general concepts that I don't want in any way to have anybody find comfort without having to consult a professional, on a retainer basis, so that you talk to them. If you need me to recommend someone to talk to, I'm going to do so. Just send me a direct message, and then I'm going to recommend a Zambian legal practitioner that you can consult if you have several questions about what is happening, okay? So there's been a lot of misunderstanding concerning Zambian marriage laws. And it's quite curious because, you see, many people in Zambia are getting married. Every weekend you see people get married. Yeah, you see young people getting married. You see people in the villages getting married. And so marriage is one of the things that are so common. They are happening every day. And yet it is also one of the most misunderstood issue in our country and in our culture. So I want to clarify a few things there, answer a few questions that you may have, and then we see how we're going to take it from there, okay? Now, as a lawyer, of course, there are some things that I do. So as a lawyer, one of the things that you do as a lawyer is you advise people regarding the law as it is. Very important. So you advise people regarding the law as it is. What does Zambian law currently say? Okay, so that is one aspect of what we do. The other aspect is advocacy. By advocacy, what we are doing is we are trying to lobby a change in the law. So these two roles should not be confused. There is what the law is, and then there is what we need to do as advocacy. So I combine the two things together sometimes, all right? So I'm going to tell you what the law is, and then I'm going to also share with you where I think we need to change in our in marriage laws. Very, very important. So that's what I'll do. Okay. So if you are on YouTube, you are on Elias Mungsha YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are on live, Facebook Live, please like our page, because we want to have as many likes as possible. Who wouldn't, right? We have about 105,000. We need to improve on that to have more, okay? So Zambian marriage law. In Zambia, contrary to some misunderstandings, there are only two ways by which a person can contract a marriage in Zambia. Two ways. There isn't three, there isn't four, there isn't five, there is no in between. Two ways, okay? Some of the things are a little bit complex, so if you need further information, please go and talk to a lawyer that you can ask very personal questions. All right. These are, and there is no way I can explain everything within just a few minutes that we have here on Facebook Live. Okay. However, explaining we must do. There are only two ways. The first one is known as customary marriage. Excuse me. Customary marriage. That is the first one. Customary marriage in Bemba, what it simply means is that if you won't intambi shesu chimonto intambi, that's a customary marriage. It comes from the word custom. Our customs as Zambians, okay? That is known as a customary marriage. All right? That's the first category, customary marriage. Now, you may wish to know that the jurisprudence, Canada jurisprudence, if I'm a judges ya High Court, balanda po the customary marriages, eh? Because customs are different across tribes. Okay. Now, in order for them to have a little bit of predictability, AMA judges, they have decided to have what is known as the jurisprudence concerning customary marriages. What's the jurisprudence? There's some standards, some expectations. For something to be a customary marriage, judges have come up with certain expectations. If you do A, B, C, D, and D, nishiala bani customary marriage. Okay? Now, the first thing that has been decided as far as customary marriages is concerned is that umuntu afuire bafika ama families yaba involved. Very important. Okay? Ama families yaba involved. So, family yamu aume ya fika. Emo chilosha. Mukweba ati busheba fika. So kufika. Mwaya chita consult ida imbi family yamu anakashi pakawata abantu bopane. Customary marriage. The other thing is that if we don't repeat dowry, okay, in another term, lobola, shirempia bapingula kuchupo, dowry. Okay, so there are several other standards, but these are the most prominent standards I have here to see whether somebody has contracted a customary marriage. All right, so families, kwaba salamu, elo nomba kwaba na dowry. Afterwards, vali standard recognize certain ceremonies. Kwaba koka official ceremony akakwabati nga chombera nganda, ngani kitchen party, ngani finishi, ngachiranga muliro, whatever it is. Okay, and different traditions across our country. Each tribe has its own, but at least when you do those formalities, then it is a customary marriage. Okay, very important. Customary marriage. After customary marriage, the second category of marriage is known as a statutory marriage. So, customary marriage is not statutory. That customary marriage, intambi shabuina Zambian. Nombe shintambi tashaba muifunde. It's not written down. Okay, so customary marriage. And then there is statutory marriage. Statutory marriage comes from the word statute. Statute simply means if ama members of parliament bapanga. So that is a statute. Statutory marriage. I think it's Cap 50 of the laws of Zambia. Nindaba. Which chapter it is of the laws of Zambia. Is it Cap 50? Okay, but that is a statutory marriage. Okay? Statutory marriage. So customary marriage, statutory marriage. Under customary marriage, ama judges every customary marriage a presumption of polygamy. Impadi. Every customary marriage a presumption yampadi. Again, my judges valandine. So what if the judges said about customary marriage? Families, dowry, vamutwala, some sort of ceremony yakubati signifier to muntu bamutwala. Elo customary marriage a presumption of polygamy. Now you need to get this. The fact that umuntu bamukobekela does not mean that nishba upana under customary law. No, nkobekela te chupo yo. Okay? Very important. That's customary marriage. Statutory marriage na yena yalikwata na yena ama rules ya yako. Okay? It's complex, complicated, a lot of rules. But one of the things is mwachita register chupo through civic center. Nomba civic center uteko bwadi salako ama marriage officers bamo. Okay? If you pala bashima people, religious people, ama fathers na if you reverends, bara tuchita gazette. Elonga baku chita gazette nish nomba baku pele ensambu kubuteko to solemnize a civil marriage, a statutory marriage. Solemnizing. Now, solemnizing is not the same as you are the official who is marrying people. Okay? So when we are solemnizing those marriages, let's solemnize if you as reverends, we are acting as agents of the state. Fine. Because Chirechu Ponomba Chalaba registered under statutory law. Okay. Now, kolabefya akobati dimbi, ama pastors bamo, balachita celebrate ama marriages, ayakobati, baufia bantu, but they are not agents of the state. It means then that Chirechu po baufia, it's going to fall under customary marriage. Okay? That's the only way out, because iwenga chaptira tawaba gazetted to solemnize a marriage means you can't solemnize a marriage. It cannot be recognized under as a statutory marriage. So this is the confusion. So a lot of akale mlando wako wagwete fema churches ayadi very well established if yapala ba Katolika, ba UCZ, ba CMML, ba Shani, very ama formal denominations. Number with the onset of ife bapende mwamwana because kutu wabuka femairo wapange church. Okay, ero abantu baisa balevo ku wabofya wabapeperera ati mwaupana ngatakutira tawako ata ama ngatawa gazetted to solemnize a marriage. It means then that it's either you're going to encourage that couple kuya ku civic center baka yepoka a marriage certificate. Now we are going to encourage them kuba ati baka ku local court baka ilembishe chupo as a customary marriage. So those are the two categories of marriages in Zambia. Okay. Now, is it true that a person nga mwaekala no mwana kashi munganda mwaekala no mwana mwachita cohabit ni chupo? No. Ama judges bali kano ko bati wekala no muntu nangu mwaekala emyaka shinga nangu mwafyala abana banga ngakutira tayaba under statutory law or under customary law nishite chupo. Simple. No matter how many years you've spent. So they told them that yo mkwaipandu tuyikala mrachita if yako chita nishichaba chupo. No, that is not what Zambian law currently says. Okay? So now if you are in this situation and you want specific legal advice, go and see a lawyer, because you know could be you are facing this situation. No, there is nothing like that. So no mbakufichita formalize gabantu abakufika bafuire bafika gabakulipira lobola bafuire balipira pakoba at least mwachita ama formalities ya chupo pakoba chama chupo. That's very important. So two categories of marriages in Zambia: customary, presumption of polygamy, and a statutory marriage. Statutory marriage in Zambia has no presumption of polygamy. So garaptila mwakwata ile certificate ya civic center ichupo chenu chaba registered under statutory law. If you go and marry another person, okay, under civil law mulando, it's known as bigamy. Bigamy. It's a criminal offense. Is it 5 to 7 years imprisonment? Which means garaptila wakwata wedding under statutory law, ile ya civic center nangu ya church, because abengi if wefema reverends aba gazetted nama fathers aba gazetted katwachita solemnize chupo ni chaba registered kuisa civic center, because we are just agents of the state in solemnizing marriages. Rautira now kwata ija certificate. Iya civic center nangu chupo cho vechiri registered muli registered yaba father nangu muli register ifwe iya ba reverend aba gazetted. You cannot go and have another wedding unless the High Court has dissolved your marriage. Which means, before the High Court dissolves the marriage, iwenga waya mukupa wakwata na wedding, it's bigamy. Ero tekulolela ati bigamy is only committed nga waya sign na imbi certificate. No. Ukupanga fye a formality, which means waya ngana mwaya mwafwala fya wedding na line up mwasenda nangutamula sign mwaupana as long as namkwata a formality of a wedding, it's bigamy mulando. Okay, so na lyumfwa ko mulumendo mo or before talachita divorce, before the High Court issues a divorce, ali yaupa nengufwata aireopa outside of the country atali yaupa. That's bigamy. That's straightforward bigamy. Ngachakutila wadiupa under statutory law in Zambia, and the High Court has not dissolved the marriage, you cannot go and contract another marriage. That is bigamy. Straightforward. So lyo mulumendo lya alipango mulando. Ain. Okay. That's what is bigamy. That's bigamy. Number, what about customary marriage? How does it work? Okay, again, you resort to intambi chachmonto. Garakutila imwe mu ntambi shenu no kumutundu wenu mwalikwata impadi. So katuishi ngakuchita negotiate with my guru, elo nomba my guru asumina, elo nomba mwayaupa a second wife under customary law. That is what happens. Okay. If people live together 6 months, do they become married in Zambia? No. 2 years? No. 5 years? No. 10 years? No. 20 years? No. 30 years? No. 50 years? No. It's tough, fine. It's very tough. Okay. That is basically how it works as far as Zambian marriage laws. Okay. Now, some people that are married under civil statutory law, na tumfwa ifile chitigefa kwa bashtata abashumfwa bantu kwayo bamwe bashtata bachintomfwa. So kulibamo bashtata bachintomfwa aliupa under statutory marriage. Ero nomba ayafwa ya umbi ayaupa under customary marriage. Is it bigamy? No. Okay. Now, is that second marriage a valid marriage? No, it cannot be a valid marriage. How can it be a valid marriage? So now if you were married under statutory law, tetuye mukupa na umbi under customary law, it cannot be recognized. So iwenga wafwa, the law is only going to recognize uliawi no mwanakashi o mwasa ine na ngwe paper fya civic center na ngwe fya church. That's it. So your umbia second wife awe ni girlfriend fie tetabe mukashi. It's very important to distinguish that, because na tumfwa atikuliba shata bamo bachintomfwa abakobata aupa under church ero nomba ayafwa ya naumbi atwala nensalam iyo mkwai oboni kuchintomfwa watwala nensalam atwaya mukupa naumbi ala wemombe waliupa kale kano ngawa ya chita divorce ero nomba kungaba ero nomba waya customary marriage. Okay, so that is one aspect. That is the law as it is. What about then reform of the law? In so I propose, Okwabati, we do some changes. Okay, now this is my proposal. Here's my proposal. My proposal is that in Zambia we do away with customary marriages and bring them under statute, like the way Kenyans did it. Maibusha the Kenyan law, yeah? Do you remember the Kenyan law? Because in Kenya, FHRD, it was very similar, and it was in fact worse. For Kenyans, it was worse than our situation in Zambia. Because in Zambia, tuakwata fit too, right? Now, in Kenya, the problem with them was they had several categories of marriages. So they had Islamic marriages. They had Hindu marriages, because Kenya, Islam is quite much more pronounced than in Zambia. So they had Islamic marriages. They had and Islamic marriages were regulated under a different statute. And then there were customary marriages that were regulated under no statute. And then there were Hindu marriages. And then there were church marriages, Christian marriages. And then there were civil marriages. So there were so many pieces of marriage laws. What the Kenyan legislature did, and I think we need to learn a lesson from there, was to bring all marriages under statute. Now, of course, some people misunderstood you to cover at number. The Kenyans have allowed polygamy. No, they did not allow polygamy. What they said was, if under your customs, polygamy is permitted, then polygamy is going to fall under statute. That's it. If you marry under Christian law that does not permit polygamy, you can't marry a second wife. That's what it means. However, no matter where you are marrying, you are going to fall under statute, and statute is going to regulate marriages, and statute is going to outline the procedures that are going to be followed. I think that is the pattern that we need in Zambia, because this idea of customary law against statutory law is confusing, and it's not in the best interest of women, in my opinion. So abolish customary marriages, bring them all under statute. That's it. All right. And put a minimum age of marriage, because under customary law, we don't have a minimum age of marriage. Okay. Under statute, we do. Is it 18? Under statute, right? 18. But under customary law, there is no minimum, which means umwana alewa fie chisungu, under customary law, they are ready to be married. Right? So abantu ichisungu chile is at what age? Grade 7, grade 8, grade 6 in some instances, or grade 5. Imagine. So alewa fie chisungu, ready for marriage. If you're not if umuntu alewa vethu ngumgrade 7 utukashana vamuyingisha ati mukumufunda nifinshi vale mufunda, of course, to know how to behave, kumweba nomba kutuwa kwate fumo nomba na fimbi vyako that you are ready for marriage. So mumushi, that's what they are doing. So they're marrying off 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15, and it's legal in Zambia to marry a person under 16 years old. This is what people do not understand. It's perfectly legal in Zambia under customary law. That's why if you want to deal with this, with child abuse and you want to stop early marriages, of course you can be using chiefs and you can do all these campaigns. But what the Zambian parliament needs to do is to just stand up and say, customary marriages are going to be abolished and they are all going to fall under statute, and impose a minimum age for marriage, 18 years old. You resolve that problem once and for all. How will that impact the rural economy? I really don't know. But if you have got so many NGOs that are trying to go and change the cultures so that people stop marrying off young girls, underage girls, then why can't you just do it from parliament? That's the most reasonable thing. Advocacy in data. So my advocacy is, in addition to using ama chiefs, no kubatasha sana ama chiefs that they are taking away young girls from marriages. Okay, but the state, the Zambian parliament, has a lot of power. From today, all customary marriages are done. No customary marriages anymore. Takuliko ufia, utuma 11-year-olds, naka 12-year-old. Kalewa vye chisungu at nomba, walabo. No. Right? Who can do that? The Zambian parliament. Forget about customary, go the Kenyan way, impose a minimum age of 18 years old, and that problem is resolved. What do you think? Okay? Yeah. Yeah, that is one of the proposals that I would make in some of my writings on my blog. This is the proposal that I have made. Just go the Kenyan way, because that is a very perfect example of what should be done. Okay. The other thing is the inflexibility of common law relationships, because Zambian law does not recognize common law and cohabitation. Now, I'm a reverend, so fwe change kainge tufuaya ati kano change. And so no, you shouldn't say that. Reverend, the reason why I'm saying this, okay, the reason why I am trying to say this, I think I'm getting the ray of the sun somewhere. Okay, the reason why I'm saying this, it is because the law as it stands in Zambia, okay, it disadvantages women. I'm going to tell you the case of K. Figo and Mr. Vance. Is it Mr. Van or Mr. Vance? I have the story on my website. I did write about it. This is what happened in the K. Figo case. Now, it's an open case. It went before the local court, and so we can talk about it. It was an open case. Okay, so and this is part of my advocacy. So this is not the position of Zambian law. This is my advocacy. Very important. There is what the law is, and then there is the changes that we need to propose to Zambian law. Okay, so this is what happened in the K. Figo case. The story says, and the K. Figo case was handled in 2010. Was that 2010 or 2011? 2012, I think. And I wrote an article on it. 8 years. You can find it on my blog. So the story is that it was before the local court. So a Mr. Van, who apparently is a Zambian of European origin, a white man, he met the young Miss K. Figo at a bar in Lusaka. And when they met, he took her to his house. And he lived with her for a period of about 5 years. Okay, very important. Under Zambian law, it was not a marriage. And because it was not a marriage, there were no legal obligations on either of the parties. After 5 years, their relationship did not continue. So Ms. K. Figo decided to sue in the local court. All right? And she sued for either spousal maintenance or compensation. I'm not too sure. And so in the local court had to follow jurisprudence from the High Court, which has guided on customary law. And the law was, she was not a spouse because her marriage was neither customary nor statutory. So even if she lived 5 years with Mr. Vance, there was no marriage relationship. And as a result, the court could not impose spousal support or matrimonial property division or anything like that. That is what happened. 5 years. Now, that is what the law is. My proposal with that case was, even in instances where there is no legally contracted marriage, I would propose that Zambian law changes to begin recognizing equitable contribution of people that are living together. I don't know what you're going to call it, whether you're going to call it common law, cohabitation, conjugal rights, or whatever it is. If a woman lives with a gentleman for 5 years, and during that 5 years, that man has makes some money while they're living together with this woman, and this woman is contributing in the home. After 5 years, you can't just say that I no mbachapwa for mamo. No, that's not fair. It's not equitable. Bantu. nangu tale bomba olio mukashana uwaikala mwaikala nangu for 5 years 5 years chirabushika nga bwaira alekubombela nga bwacha alekubombela nomba why can't you recognize ukobati ni contribution but na stress ilepwa ulabombesha quite alright ulayakunchito nangule extra run business but ubushikunga bwaira alekuwafuirisha to relieve stress. Which means all the things that you are accumulating while she's living with you, it must be recognized after the expiry of the marriage. A proposal nde panga. Bantu ngatamubikirepo your proposal. What will happen is that some men will continue. Every 5 years, akula chinji apofie. Aleta mwaka ka gero. After 5 years, akatamfia. Aleta mokambiaka new. After 5 years, akatamfia. Aleta mokambiaka new. After 5 years, akatamfia. And in the meantime, these women, because of what is known as because of companionship. The reason why marriage is there in companionship, Number the only difference between case 5 years and the married 5 years is that by the signage paper. And so the law would definitely favor that part of the relationship. Now, contribution your spouse is making in the marriage is well recognized. Echonde lombako chakwebati yomkwai nango ababene abashaupana as long as bali companionship bale yafuirisha ngabwaira ubushiku bale nango akasoba bale yafuirisha nayo in any contribution which they recognize, even if it's not a marriage, but recognize it. The other area is there's got to be something in statutes that should obligate a person before you go to get married under statute. Kufuri kwaba obligation ya kweba watch that declare whether you have been cohabiting with a different person. It will help people. It will help avoid a very potentially damaging situation here. They've lived together for 15 years. Nabari fiala. Nenganda bari bekala pamo. Na companionship, barachita companionship. Na fiance fia mchupo, barachita. Everything barachita. 15 years. Because it is not a marriage. The man can wake up one Saturday, aya kumbi, aya upa. And the law is not going to stop him. Aya upa umbi? No. What I'm proposing is, kwebate, chidiata ulasaina marriage register, kufure kwa wako ka question pa mwaka leku ipshati, have you been cohabiting? Have you been cohabiting with someone? Pakwabati nga wasukati yes. Ero nomba walondolola. Next follow-up question, Quipsh. If you've been cohabiting with someone, have you told them now wisa mukupa nomba? Because at least oliomuntu waikala nankwe for 5 years or 15 years. I don't care kusala which years you're going to include. At least aba under notice. Aba under notice ukowa chachine. This gentleman that onjikala nankwe for 15 years. Na aba anatoa rikwata. At least such the report. Okay, but this is what is going to happen. Do you have any questions? What about a married woman being pregnant for another man before you officially divorce if you got married under civic? Okay, this is complicated. Mwemba Musako. What happens if a married man, married woman has a child pregnant for another man? What does it mean under the law? So there is a presumption. While a couple is married, belongs to the family. Imagine. As long as a couple is married, umwana kashinga afiala. Ngapa hapa ninjure mwana wa couple. Okay? But of course, those are more complex issues. Okay. Muke pishe ba lawyer. Mwe pishe ba lawyer. So filia ilia green iya ku local court ni customary. It's customary. Local court is customary. First Omansa. Local court is customary because local court, you go to register a customary marriage under the Local Court Act. If it becomes statutory in civic center, because the civic center is the agent is the administrator of CAP 50. Okay, yeah. So local court is customary marriage. Francis Amwinga, if we are saying customary law has no age limit, are we saying even a female of below can be married off? How do we reconcile this with defilement laws? Yes, Francis Amwinga, actually, under customary law, that's exactly what I said. Under customary law, an 11-year-old girl can be married as long as our age sungu. Terrible, right? Yeah. How do we reconcile with this with defilement case? If she's married, then she cannot be defiled. Okay. I do understand that several NGOs have done some work now and they are trying to lobby for changes. But as far as current Zambian law is concerned, an 11-year-old girl can be married under customary law, and that's unfair. Right? But of course, Nganima villages, most chiefs are now fighting against it. So the chiefs, there is a movement to change the culture. But I think sometimes when the culture is taking too long to change, the best way is for Parliament to step in and put statutory law. Are you saying getting pregnant for another man while you're married is not bigamy? No, it's not. Bigamy is not chigololo, okay? Bigamy is undergoing another a marriage ceremony when you are legally married under statute to someone else. That's bigamy. Abdi, polygamy should be allowed. We have more women than men in the world, so sharing is caring. I don't support one wife, five girlfriends. Okay, maybe that could be the case. I don't know. But those statistics do not appear to be quite correct. I think the ratio, in Zambia, the women male ratio in Zambia is almost the same. Almost the same. Of course, statistically, a little bit more in terms of numbers. We have more women by just very small margin, which makes no statistical difference, right? So the idea that in Zambia we have more women than men, no, that's not true. It's easy to divorce. Can one refuse to divorce? No. Divorce. If can a person refuse divorce? Okay, yes. If a person refuses divorce, a court can still divorce them, right? Because the law assumes that marriage is two people. Abantu babiri balefwayo okupana. Bonse babiri bafwayo okupana. Umonga talefwayo okupa, nangumo talefwayo okupwa. Teti bapatikishe chupo yo. Law taipatikishe chupo. Okay? Religion, good. Culture, good. No, but the law cannot. Teti bapatikishe chupo. Henry Yamba, marrying an underage girl may be lawful under customary, but having sex with her is unlawful under statute. The particular offense being defilement. How do you reconcile the two? So, which means if she's not married, then it will be defilement. However, there is a very big push from women NGOs. I think they've been doing a very good job, and what they are trying to do is dissolve the marriages. So when they hear that an underage girl has been married off, so they are trying to lobby families and lobby the chiefs to go and dissolve the marriage, Once they dissolve the marriage, they pull the girl out of the marriage, and then there is no marriage. All right, because for customary marriage to work, there's got to be families. So if families say that ichite chupo nempia walipire as dowry to abwesha or something like that, then nichite chupo, right? So through that you can then resort to criminal law. Yeah, but that is that is used in very rare circumstances, because there is no one who is going to go to the villages and charge all these young men who marry underage girls with defilement. That would upset the rural economy. It would upset the country. No one would do that. And you're not going to have enough jails. Kumilenge? No. You're not going to have. What about when a married man impregnates another woman? Sorry, what? Baglenda. When a married man impregnates another woman, nishinaba pere fumo gombi chigololo buchende mwana wa bogaire. What about issues around consenting to marriage? Consenting to which marriage? Customary, or an 18-year-old is an adult, right? And they can consent to marriage. They can consent to sex and they can consent to marriage at 18. Girls that are younger than 18 under current Zambian law, they can still be married, but they require the consent of the parent, I think. The consent of the parent. For girls that are under the age of 18, you require the consent of the parents. Yeah, they will require consent of the parents. So a parent must specifically consent to marry off a person who is under 18 years old under statutory law. Under customary law, of course, parental consent is a given because it's one of the requirements for contracting a customary law. How long does it take to divorce? Is it 2 years? No, I can't answer that question. I think you can consult a lawyer to help with that. How long it takes? In some cases, it's because our High Court is so overwhelmed, right? There are so many people that are getting divorced that our High Court is overwhelmed, and usually it's other things that delay the proceedings. But there are at least 3 grounds for divorce under the statute, right? 3 grounds. Adultery, chigololo. The reason why you are divorcing someone is because of chigololo. Adultery. Yeah, so adultery, yes. Adultery is one of the grounds for divorce. Adultery. Imagine. Serious, eh? Adultery. Then the other one is because you've lived separate and apart for a specific number of years. Here in Alberta, it's 1 year. So you say that you've lived apart for 1 year and there is no chance of reconciliation. That is another ground. In Alberta, we have another ground, which is cruel and unusual punishment. Okay? The fact that your spouse treats you so horribly and subjects you to torture or something like that, then that's another ground for divorce. Okay, there are several. There could be other grounds in Zambia, and that's why I'm telling you to consult Zambian lawyers, because you get very specific information to one situation. Okay, but of course, what complicates even a straightforward divorce is the fact that there are things like child custody, child support, matrimonial property division, pension, all those. They're very important. In Kenya, if you live with a woman for 2 years, she becomes your wife automatically. Mubangana sieko. I think I'll need to investigate further on that one. Under what law would that happen? Because in Kenya abolished customary marriages and brought them under statute. Is that the new Kenyan law that says that if you live with a person for 2 years, then they become your wife automatically? Is that statute? I'm not sure. Mubanga, Mr. Munsha, I normally see that in Zambia, most churches, those who marry there in church do not register marriages in church. What does the law say about marriages solemnized in church regarding registration of marriages? This is a very murky area. And I think the Ministry of Religious Affairs and National Guidance should come in and help out. This is a very murky area, and I think it will cause a lot of problems in future. Some of the people that have been gazetted to solemnize marriages are not following procedure, right? And then some of the churches that are claiming to solemnize a marriage, they are not really solemnizing a marriage, okay? So some people are in fact wearing a white wedding and gives the impression that it is a statutory marriage, but they are not signing the marriage register. So there is a lot of gray area involved. And I think what is needed is to clarify. And some of these things, they work perfectly, right? Until there is somewhat trouble, you know. That's when you realize that what was going on was not a marriage. But I do realize that there is an issue, particularly with our churches that have mushroomed in our country, right? How do you regulate them? How do you let them know the importance of being gazetted? And when they get gazetted, it places legal obligations upon them as solemnizers of marriages, of civil marriages, to keep a register updated and to take that register back to the civic center when the register is full. Common law partnerships. Yes, I think that's what I'm proposing in Zambia, so that there is at least some common law partnerships. Zambia doesn't have that. You are either married or you're not. And if you are married, you are either married under customary law or you're married under statutory law. There is no gray area. And that's why it's important at least to bring some recognition for common law partnerships. That's my proposal, you know, but who knows? Okay. Catherine Akelo, customary marriage can be dissolved following the customary grounds and rules. Yes. Yes, indeed, Catherine Akelo. Festo Mwansa, marriage interference was abolished. It no longer exists in Zambia. Stand to be corrected. I'm not sure. I think in the local court is still there. And I think even in the high court, you can sue someone for marriage interference. You can sue someone for interfering with your marriage, but please check with a Zambian lawyer who can give you specific guidance on that one. But I think so. You can do that. If a person comes and interferes, now something like that, I think. Chibunu, if polygamy is not recognized, then why are those people marrying many wives do not face criminal charges? Who says that polygamy is not recognized? Polygamy is legal in Zambia. Polygamy is part of Zambian law. It's legal in Zambia to have polygamy, except that it is only allowed under customary law, not under statute. Under statute, one woman, one man, okay? But under customary law, there is a presumption. Again, it's not that under customary law, it means you have to marry many wives. No, all it says is that there is a presumption of polygamy, which means if you follow your customs of how you can contract a second or third wife, then there is a presumption that that is acceptable. Yeah. All right. Okay, I think that is all we have to end here. I don't see any more questions. Is there any question that I've not answered here? And if you want to come on and make a contribution, or you want to chat with a Zambian lawyer, I can lead you to one, okay? Because then you can sit down with someone and explain to them the situation exactly, what you are going through. Okay. Mukukangulube, pregnancies are just evidence of adultery, not marriage contracts. Yes. Yeah. So does a pregnancy, so a pregnancy shows that somebody was adulterous? Hey, tuwaishibajani. Kutuwaishibajani. Umuntu wasala ndati ni momo mperefumo. Kutuwaishibajani. Abantu babufi. Kutuwaisako bepesha. Adina uperefumo. Nero tawaiketeko. Namabere tawatonesheko. Bako bepesha. Adina uperefumo. So so Bakwet, how best in customary marriage dissolved? Can it be dissolved by families just agreeing and repayment of insalam, or it's done by the local court only? So you follow. So how many of all the marriages that customary marriages that get dissolved go to the local court? That would be quite an interesting thing, right? The other thing is customary marriages are tentative. That's very important to know. Under customary law, most marriages are tentative. There is no completion as far as marriages are concerned under customary law. Because under customary law, anytime, okay? Very different with statutory law, because statutory law, as long as tamuchitire divorce, you're still married. Number under statutory law, under customary law, marriages are tentative. Ngakutukira bawiso kutifyapwa. Ngabika mosoti ngimumane kutifyapwa. Ashtata ngabareisa na abakolwa kutifyapwa. Somebody can come and say, "Awo mkwai mwamuchusha omwana wesu muno munganda mwamuchusha mwisa na mukolwa." Ngata kuli umwana ati yofyala apwa. You know, very tentative. So yeah, ati chupo is permanent under customary law. Takwaba. Filapwa, very, very easy. Okubwesha. And in some cultures, tabasumina na dawru kulipira yonse. Ati kushako. Gawaya lipira yonse mulandu. Kushako. Wakwati wako kaonkanye pokula kupinda. It's not complete. Kwafiro kula konkanya pokula kupinda. So na iwe kula lipira ko panono, lipira ko panono. Ngawa kupingula. Okay? Marriage interference, I think so. I think marriage interference is still there, local court. Local court. What if a married man has children outside? Is the other woman and their kids have the right to claim the property? Mwana wa mwaume. Yes, kaingi mwana wakwe. Bana wakwe. They are entitled. I think that's one of the areas where there's been some changes in Zambian law. You know, under estate laws, I think. They can inherit. Kainge bana bakwe. Nomba imu mulifu achitejana. Ati bega chitako inherit. Bana bakwe. They should inherit. They should be part of the inheritance. So sorry. Ali rufyanya kwena ali rufyanyo kuyafyala kumbi. Nomba bali abana, they are innocent. Bana bakwe. So they should have a share. Why shouldn't they have a share? Ati yo mkwai kanofye through what? No. Bana bakwe kaiba. This question here is not answered. First of all, what question is it? Sorry, I did not see it. So there are some things that I can't see where I am here. So what was the question, Feston? Can you type it under a new thing? Just type it so that I can see. Festo, you say that I did not answer a question. What question is it? And this question has come up again. Which category do the marriage certificate we obtain from the local courts? It's customary. Okay. When you go to local court and obtain that marriage certificate, you obtain it under the local court acts, which administer customary marriages. Okay. Peter Mwape, please, we want to marry as many women as we can. It's fun. Oh. Mundia, what was the question? Mundia Moka. I think I've just answered it, haven't I? First of all, he wants to marry as many women as he can. First of all, atarefu okupa as many women as he can. Yeah. I think bigamy is when you marry someone else before your divorce is finalized. Yes. Yes, that's bigamy. Yeah. Before your divorce is finalized, or while you are married to someone else. Yeah. But remember, this marriage must be a statutory marriage that you intend to contract. Okay? So it can't be a customary marriage because some men are actually doing it. But you through a statutory marriage. Ero nomba watu wale nsalamu bayalipira kumbi. Ati balao penshi. Balao pa customarily. Te chupo chidia, it will not be recognized. Tem kashuja hiyo. Because ngawa opa under statute. Te chukwa tomu kashina ombi. All right. Thank you very much for staying with me today. All the best. Today is a holiday here in Alberta. We have Canadian Thanksgiving. Okay. And so we're very grateful. Please share, like our page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Maybe if there are any other matters arising from this broadcast, we might address them at that stage. But I hope this has helped one or two people. And I cannot emphasize enough the fact that if you are captured by any of these situations, please go and seek a Zambian lawyer who can help you out. Okay, deal and navigate with these things, because sometimes it's not enough for that chap. No, wayalipira kwa lawyers because bakulondolera bwino nishina bateka n'omutima. If your partner starts going with someone else, can you divorce without waiting for 2 years separation? For adultery, yes. Kaingenishi, adultery, because adultery is straightforward. What is the cause of divorce at adultery? No, but most people that get divorced, they never cite adultery. But under that, we've lived separate and apart for a year or 2 years or whatever years are applicable in Zambia. Because adultery ila shupa limo kuchita proof. Gawala chita proof shan. Wala ishma uishibe shan at adultery. Wali vekatai. Ati banaba gwira mchigololo waba. Wafya. Apostle Oscar, you want to come on? Here is the link. Namuimana link here. If a man get a child outside marriage in SA and you're not work and your wife is working, she's supposed to support that child. South Africa yalipusanako. South Africa yalipusanako sana kwati mwe. But anyway, child support. I think the concept there is that if the man is not working, but is married, it means then that their family has income. And so the computation of income is on the family. You see? If your marriage should be penny, because you put strengths together, even weaknesses, you put them together. So in South Africa, if I think that's the reason why this is happening, Johnson neza kaonda. Because balista compute family income. So uyutata adiupa tabomba abakasheba bomba. So yonse income with their family. Kuipendelako when it comes to child support of a child oyo yutata aire fiara kumbi. So umwana gashi tetalanda tiyo mkwai muimpendelako my income because ababata tadilofwa nango bafiara fiare tababomba tetalanda because according to South African law if on them na Johnson kaundaleranda it's family income. So imagine wena mayo niwebole bomba but shtata ngaya mukufiala kumbi niwebo kusupporta bana abo ale fiala kumbi wafia bakwe tuteine ndefu ayo kupa bengi nipita mwape akainga mashina yenu kupalana mwansa mwape fili mvika pe kwa tifimo fini nipita mwape watch comment atarefu okupa bengi ayo amano ayo yabo ule onvo pita mwape ayo amano ayo kufoyo kupa abengi yabo ule so iwe pita mwape walikuwa tobo bafuye bakupeperera bapapa okupeperera sana poko batule monafie umuntu umu arabwafia kutuleseka kwati fiweme. Anyway, so other children can be part of the inheritance if there is no will, or even if there is one but they are not included. Or what if he had Violet Muilachibo yaba complicated fiaba complicated. The reason is twaingira number from matrimonial property matrimonial law, if you are chupo number twaingira into estate. Okay, into estate administration, into interstate, what inheritance someone has and things like that. Okay, that's really under Pama Estate and Interstate Acts. But maybe tukalanda po another day. Nomba mfuiroko berenga a little bit more on the new interstate acts in Zambia. Succession. By that succession law, okay, what will happen to your property when you die? How is it going to be distributed? How is it going to be distributed? Mwana gashomo n'abana 4 nango walikwata omwana gashomo abana batatu ero nomba wayafialo okukumbi abana 10. How is that supposed to do? No, I leave it up to a succession law. So we're not talking about it today because it's quite complex. What if he had no property? Only the woman does say even titles are in both their names. Sometimes the issue of names and property feel like confused more. But matrimonial property is still matrimonial property, even if it is in one person's name or in both names, it's still matrimonial property. So nangutawa abapo pe mashina yafikulwa. If you are married, it's part of matrimonial property. Ngabaya mukwakanya ichuma court, they'll look at that. It's matrimonial property. Solomon Mutintakayasa, Tebu Ule Butonga. Na, Nshalande. Nimwape nachiraeva. Ati mwape alefo kupa vana kashavengi. Mwape, efyo alandile, atalefo kupa vana kashavengi. Nipite mwape, festo mwansa, ewa akana. No, pite mwape, ewa jana, alefo kupa chupe upe. Eno narandati, pita, aywa mano yavi. Mano yabo ule. Matrimonial Causes Act. Okay. Do prenups exist in both customary and statutory marriages? I don't think prenups exist in Zambia. No, I don't think they do. I don't think Zambian law has gone to prenups. No. Von Schmitten, please answer my question. What was the question? Shimwen. Von Schmitten. Where is the question? I haven't seen it. Oh, Von Schmitten? Is there any punishment under customary law when you have kids outside marriage? No, even under statutory law, there is no punishment. Or how would you punish if somebody has kids outside marriage? There is no punishment. Punishment is and the brothers bakesa msendo mukashana tiyo imwe batata mumfwa mwaya mukufiyala kumbi epera no batakwaba punishment. What punishment? No, there is no punishment under statutory law when you have kids outside marriage, you know. Nalelo mwaleteria chijabuhule ine ninda ndapwatiria chijabuhule mulembe peshave ben musonda mulembe peshave chiranditepo ine shiketepo omuntu nange omwatiriure no na chiraeva festo mwanza pite mwape mimo mulinchita confuse amashina yenu eyali parana eyo na chiraeva njebere yo desire yako bati atulefu okupa abana kashavenge mwande. If you want to do that, first of all, go under customary law. And if you go under customary law, you must get permission from the first wife who go to the Edimbi. Aye. How man did ule ulife wino. Aye. But no. No. Mubanga Nasieko, what about marriages in community of property and out of community property? That doesn't exist in Zambia, does it? Mwema Zambian lawyers, Njafuirishenko, does it exist if you got marriages in community of property and community out of property? I think in South Africa, echo of a concept. It's in South Africa where there is that concept of community property and out of community property. In Zambia, we don't have that. In Zambia, the only property that is not going to be counted as part of matrimonial property is the property that a person comes with in the marriage, okay? But if it increases while there is that marriage, Ninshi, it's going to be regarded as part of matrimonial property. Number, if you had it before you got married, Ninshi, it won't be part. We don't have that concept of community of property and out of community of property. I know it's a very well-developed area of law in South Africa. Yeah, in Zambia, no. But Tobias, let any
awe ni namu asuka na chira ipusha paliyo wini omulando wa marriages in community of property and out of community of property.
I think it mainly applies in South Africa. Yeah, much more developed area of law in South Africa.
Then the other question it's about the priests and the pastors, the manner in which they solemnize marriages in Zambia. It seems as if there's a lot of confusion, especially in terms of registration.
Yeah.
How can that be regulated by the state?
Okay. No, I think. Oh, sorry. Oh, nam muchimuliranda Tobias. Sorry, nam this is a very, very difficult issue, and I think the state needs to come in very, very quickly, because some people are solemnizing marriages and yet they are not gazetted to solemnize marriages. Some pastors giving the impression, so people are coming like new wedding, as if it's a wedding under statute. N'abafuala banabwinga n'abafuala white shani na shtata n'abafuala suit. I don't know by meaning that they even exchange vows. Okay, so they exchange vows, nama rings bachta exchange, and yet pastor ulechta solemnize has not been authorized to solemnize marriages. So if you are doing that, first of all, it's a criminal offense if you are giving the impression as if you can solemnize marriages when you can't. It's a criminal offense. Okay, so that's how the state can intervene. The other thing is, it's just more education for people that are registering churches. For example, the Registrar of Societies can caution the new pastors, okay, that unless you are authorized to solemnize marriages, do not. A marriage blessing, on the other hand, is different, because a marriage blessing then becomes a religious practice. Solemnizing marriages is not a religious practice. It is a religious organization doing a role on behalf of the state. When I solemnize a marriage, I am solemnizing a marriage as a reverend. But after that marriage is solemnized, I then take that certificate to the state. Blessing a marriage, on the other hand, so first of all, so vopene under what? Vopene under customary marriage, or vopene under civic center? That becomes murky. So it's possible that umuntu pastor kutalandati Alex Tafie bless, touch the solemnize. So by solemnizing, nikaleka declaration kabapo, palast after my vows. Okay, but I now pronounce you husband and wife. Kadiaka, I now pronounce you husband and wife. It's a statutory requirement. I now pronounce you husband and wife. If you do not have the power to solemnize a marriage, you cannot say that I now pronounce you husband and wife. If you do so, mulando, it's a criminal offense. Yeah. What happens to kids born outside marriage when it comes to sharing estates of the father dies? Ambana kaidi, bana. Mwana. Nangwadi outside of marriage, mwana. Nga ish mwana. Should be part of the estate. Of course, kulava quarrels. Ukulaka. Nempika. Because some don't want you which tako inherit. It's human nature. Nomba yom kwai, mwana. Kaingeni vawishi. Why should you deny them? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. This is where we've got to end today. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you again when we shall be discussing other issues of national importance. We are going to go back to politics. Today, it was strictly if you poor. Nama love. So next time, Limbi, we'll go back to politics because a lot has happened. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you. Like our page, share our page. Let everybody you come into contact with like it. Okay, bye.